You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio. Parasearch Radio, broadcasting to the UK and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Good evening and welcome to the Paranormal Pop-Up Show. My name is Kerry Greenaway and tonight in the studio I have with me the lovely Kaz Rooney. Good evening, Kaz.
Good evening, Kerry.
And we've got Bear Medicine Walker in the studio as well. Good evening, Bear.
Hi, everybody. I was going to wave to the camera, but they're not watching, right?
But we are, so that's fine.
Oh, okay.
We are.
I know it's quite late on a Friday evening, but we thought, we haven't done a show tonight and we thought we would. So we're on live and kicking. So come into the chat room, guys, if you're listening, because we are live and it is a pop-up show. So anything could happen on a pop-up show. Now, they have no idea of what I'm going to bring to the table tonight. Literally
Kaz,
idea.
I'm getting nervous.
I would just like to point out to everybody, I was quite happy relaxing in my bed, going to sleep, when I got pulled out of bed by said boss to do a pop-up show, so she better be being nice to us.
Always.
It's my fault, probably, because I said on the page, I'm so sad. There's nothing to listen to that's new right now.
And she says she's bored. So I was like, well, I listen to my listeners and, I go, okay, so let's do it. Let's do something.
Right.
Right. So on Sunday evening, what's happening, everybody? Do we know? Can we remember? That's important.
I'm old. I don't.
Apart from your show?
Well, apart from my show, obviously.
Sunday.
Full moon?
Yes.
No,
Well done, Bear. It's a full moon.
Tonight.
No, it's Sunday.
Yeah, no, it's not yet. It's just a sliver shy of it.
Ah, right. Oops, my bad.
No, that's okay, because it can be quite confusing, because nowadays there's a lead up to the full moon and then there's like the after the full moon and stuff. Now, the August full moon is called a sturgeon moon, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
you know why that is?
Is that because of the migration? I don't know.
It's also called the harvest moon. So it's because the sturgeons and the salmon and all those type large game fish are spawning. So that's why it's called sturgeon moon.
Ah, because of
you
the
go,
sturgeon.
everybody.
See?
There you go, sturgeon moon. So the full moon is always given a bit of a hype these days, isn't it? It's like, it's a full moon, you do your rituals and you do your like manifestations on the full moon and stuff. So, or people are either lunar people or solar people.
Right.
Or loony people.
Lunar. Well, loony, lunar. Yeah, that's where the word comes from. But
Excuse me?
so what do you do on the full moon? I mean, I know I do. I tend to be, if I'm going to do a ritual, I will tend to do it on the full moon.
Yeah.
Who are you asking?
Either of you.
Go for it, Bear.
Yeah, I sleep. No, I actually, ask for blessings, and depending on which moon it is, things charged, crystals, stones, rocks. I like to go out and step and say prayers and raise them to Grandmother Moon, and just the energy is very different. But when I was working in the ER and the hospital, I wanted to sleep. I didn't want to be there.
Okay.
Tidal effects and lunar effects and loony effects, and it heightens everything to the emotions, and the perceptions are like just kind of like on All Hallows Eve. Same type of an energy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is well documented that on a full moon, there's more admissions to A&E and more accidents and more people struggling than they normally would on a full moon.
True.
They have documented that.
Maybe Kaz and Kerry, Kaz and I were talking about this a little bit ago. Maybe that's why we're kind of processing what we were processing today.
Maybe.
Who knows? Because it is more of an emotional time, do you not think?
Tell us about it.
I think because everything rises to the surface. I think because the energy is so close to us with the full moon, and the tides are running different. Look at right now we have the hurricane in Hawaii, so the energy level with the elementals is really high right now too. So, I just think it tends to bring up a lot, and it's a lot of releasing. I think that's one of the big rituals you want to do on a full moon. Is a releasing ritual, getting rid of the old so the new can come in.
True.
I'll always make a list and always burn it. And I charge up my crystals and I charge up my water.
But not all crystals. Yeah, but okay, there's two factors there, right? Okay, so let's look at the releasing factor. Now, we all have stuff that we carry with us on a daily basis, right? Crap that happens and stuff, and, issues that get raised, so we write them down and we release them and stuff like that. But it's also a huge manifestation thing that you can do. Not just the release, but the manifestation side of things on a full moon.
Well, sure. You release it and bring it in.
Exactly.
You release it to allow new stuff to come in. So, yeah, absolutely.
How much woo-woo is this, though? Playing devil's advocate.
Boo-boo?
No, woo-woo.
Oh, woo-woo.
Like, woo-woo!
You mean fictitious? You mean like some people that I won't name would say it's all in our minds?
Yeah. I love that.
I
do love to play devil's advocate.
It's not. Yeah, well, me. I always let them get going so they can the bear back. So, like Kaz just said, this is something that's well documented. The lunar phases and the tide and all that has effect on people. Go to a psych ward. You ever work in a psych ward? Go in a psych ward on a full moon. And I'll dare anybody to do that with psych patients and say that there's no effect, including all those naysayers that say it's in our mind.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have a friend who refuses to speak to anybody 4 days before a full moon and 4 days after it, because he does tend to get in fights and tends to get in arguments and tends to, as he calls it, loses the plot.
Right.
And he goes, you can always tell when it's come up to a full moon, I start losing the plot. So he's aware of it.
Yeah, you don't even have to look at a calendar.
No, he feels it. He feels it.
So, yeah.
Because he doesn't track moon cycles at all, he just feels it. So.
Yeah, no. And I can tell you, again, like in a psych ward, psych patients, they don't know if it's a full moon. They don't know the calendar. That's like the least of their worries. But I can tell you their behavior is heightened. Issues are heightened. Aren't they with you, Kerry?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can generally tell. I'm like you. I'll either sleep through the whole affair. It'll wipe me out. Or I'll feel so energized and need to do a ritual or need to do something to, work with that energy.
I find I can't sleep during a full moon.
So I go very dependent. It's very dependent on what it is and when it is.
2-3 days before, 2-3 days after, before I get right back into my natural patterns.
Yeah. But I have to say my sleep patterns are shot anyway. I'll either sleep for hours and hours or I won't sleep. So it's all a bit hit and miss with the sleep patterns, to be fair. You know what I mean? It's all very hit and miss. But I do feel more affiliated with the full moon energy than I do with solar energy. I find it more intense if I'm trying to work solar, whereas I flow better and I find my ritual work is easier to flow than it is with solar. But that I just put that down to I'm more of a night kind of lunar energy rather than a solar energy. So what would you say you were? Are you night or are you day kind of energy kind of girlies?
Night.
Day.
I'm always drawn to the moon. That's the thing. I've always been drawn to the moon. I actually have my garden set up where I've got lights the whole way around the garden, around the tops of the fences. And when it's really dark and it's a really full moon, can go out there and sit, and it's lovely. Mm-hmm. And I do that.
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of nights I've been outside and just, not even if I've not worked anything specific, I'll go out and, sit under that energy and, embrace and do my thing as you do. More so than high sun. I mean, I find high sun too intense sometimes. But Bear, you work day. So what's the difference?
Yeah, I like night to go out by the water, if I'm by the water. And I actually worked afternoons and nights all the time when I was actually in the hotel industry, and then when I switched over to the medical field, I was always afternoons and nights. That's the best time I worked because I like to kind of be like a slug bug during the day. But if I get up, once I'm up in the morning, I'm up with the daylight, okay? So in the winter, I phase out. I mean, like in the winter, I go to bed at dark and I'm up at light. And because winter is really short hours of daylight, most of the time I'm sleeping. So, I mean, I don't know. I prefer, how about this? I prefer early day. Early morning, whether it's dark or daylight, than late night. I just can't function anymore late nights. Oh, and my kids come home at night, on the weekends sometimes when they come home during the month. Yeah. I'm like, they're like, Mom, stay up. And I'm like, 7 o'clock. I'm like putting toothpicks in my eyes. Are you serious? But I get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Yeah, see, I mean, I'm kind of like, sometimes that's the time I'll go to bed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For me, it's like the opposite. I could be up all day. I'll have a nap. I will have a nap, and it'll be a nap, like an hour. Because by 3, 4 in the afternoon, I'm done. And then I'll have a nap around then, and then that's it. I'll be fine until 3, 4 in the morning quite easily. No problem.
But that's because you had a nap at 3, 4 o'clock.
Yeah, but,
see...
Little and often kind of girl.
I'm always up about 5.
I can't see your facial expression.
5 or 6 in the morning.
Yeah, you're a well early girl, you are.
I'm really always up early, and I don't intend to. Like tomorrow, it's Saturday. It's a typical, not a lot to do day, except maybe go shopping or whatever. But literally, I will be up at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. And then once I've fed the kids, once we've had tea, I'll probably fall asleep for about an hour, and then that's me. I can stay up to whenever.
Yeah, because you have that little... It's like a power nap, isn't it?
It's like a power nap. Yeah.
Well, I know why Carrie's up late at night.
Why?
She's probably out down by the water, skinny dipping and running around under the moonlight in the woods and talking to all the little nymphs and talking to the night creatures. And yeah, that's what Carrie's doing. Don't lie to us. We know.
We know.
Yeah, we do know. But this brings in another factor. Okay, so elementals. Right, now, on Thursday evening, Kaz did a show, Good versus Evil. Okay, now, I know, as well as Bear and as well as Kaz, that there are, and I'm going to use the word entities, rather than name it a specific thing, that there are entities that are not necessarily good. But the elementals are completely different, aren't they? But there are... But elementals are different.
Oh, she can see me now.
I know, she's slapping me big time, everybody. I love a late night slap.
I knew you liked it rough.
Me and you, Bear, anytime.
Oh, God, now that's going to start all over the internet.
Now there's a trend. It's like trending on Facebook or whatever. But no, seriously, when you look at elemental energy and you're looking at those kind of entities, and they do exist and they are out there, and when people say get back to nature, that's what they're telling you to do. You're not looking for human entities, you're looking for elemental entities, and that's a different ball game completely. And do you not feel that lunar and solar energy brings different elementals into play?
Yes.
Yeah.
The beginning of the week, I kept feeling, and actually they came out in the cards, in the daily card of the day, Monday and Tuesday, was the elemental of fire and the elemental of water. Of course, now I know because we're entering the full moon, but I mean, I was like, oh, okay, 2 in a row, let's do this, So, yeah, and you can harness that energy from them, and there's a lot that can be done with that.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, totally. Totally agree with that. In more ways than you think, actually, isn't there?
See, the thing is, although I like watching water as well as the moon. And if we go down about 5 minutes from my house, if you go down, there's like a forest, but if you walk right through it, it'll take you to the River Don. And you can just sit there, there's canal boats and everything on the water. But I've never done it late at night.
Oh, mate, try it.
Oh, my God, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You want me to take my camera out back or my live stream and stream it for you out back?
There's like...
awesome.
There's all sorts of dodgy elements in the woods. And I don't mean elementals, I mean like human ones in the woods late at night, so I just don't go down there at night. But yes, that'd be nice if I could do that.
See, where I live...
Get in Carrie's boat. Get in Carrie's boat, I'll put the barbecue on the lake, I'm telling you.
See, I mean, I know, Bear, you live on a lake. Kaz, you don't live far from running water. I don't live far from the Thames estuary where I live. And where I actually live, I can go to like a little creek that comes off the Thames estuary, so it's tidal. That, when I sit there and I do a meditation or I do, just go out in the full moon, that's where I'll go. And I'll sit, and it's very private, and kids ain't over there, you know what I mean? It's quite dark, and the moon play on the water or the mud, depending on whether the tidal's in or not. That is one of the best ways of connecting, I find, because I'm completely away from people. Even in my home, you've got people around in houses and stuff, cars driving past, but over there you get away from it, completely away from that. And that is where you really connect to the nature, elemental side of things. So when people say the best way to connect to yourself is to go out into nature, that's what people talk about. It's getting away from the human factor And if you live in a city, you can still do that. You can go into a park or, something like that. Obviously, be safe. I'm not saying to anybody, don't be safe. But, that I find so cathartic and so connected in a way that I don't get just doing a ritual in my garden or something like that. Yeah. It's a lot more connected to those kind of elemental entities than you do in any other way, don't you? What are we thinking on that, ladies? Because I'm seeing Bear doing the hurry the fuck up kind of sign.
Well, no, I was doing it. No, I was doing it so I wouldn't forget my thought process. I didn't say that.
I know you didn't say it, but hand motions and all that.
That's not what I was saying. Well, what Kaz and I were referring to a little while ago is I have huge aquariums in my home. So oftentimes when I am not physically feeling well or can't really get outside or don't want to get outside because say there's a million zillion bugs at one particular time, I have my aquariums and it's the same thing because I have these beautiful fish in there and I shut all the lights out except the aquarium light. Mm-hmm. And I tap into that energy of the water elementals with the swimmers, and you can kind of meditate with that, just the gentle noise of the filter running the water. And all it is in my tanks is you just hear water running. Yeah. So really gently, it's kind of like not as rough as a waterfall, but I mean, you can hear it. It's really soft. And I just kind of mesmerize on how the water shimmers on the top and the lights play across the fish in the water. So it really doesn't necessarily even have to be that we go outside. It's just that we find our bit of nature, however that is.
That's very true.
Do you know what's actually really funny? Because about an hour before Kerry's announced this pop-up show, Bear and I were having this conversation on Messenger about aquariums and fish tanks, and Bear's order didn't show up today of the fish he'd ordered. And I was saying I used to have a fish. That's the weirdest thing, because I said to you, I need to get an aquarium and put it in my bedroom. Because when I did have one, I used to just sit for hours at night. You could sit completely in the dark with just the fish tank and be totally mesmerised just watching.
I have one. Yeah. I have a 80-gallon in my bedroom. That's at the foot of my. Well, it's across the room, but it's at the foot of my bed. That I watch. Yeah. I have one in my kitchen, which everybody's like, why do you have this huge aquarium in your kitchen?
Why not?
I said, because I love it. Mm-hmm. I have one in the other bedroom, which is empty right now because the puffer fish didn't come. Oh. I'm bitter. But anyway, and then I have the beautiful tank. I have a beautiful column tank in my living room, which people have seen on my live streams with the orange parrotfish and the sharks, iridescent sharks. And I just love them.
Yeah.
They're like, I talk with them. They pay attention to me, and not just because I feed them. Like I go in my parrotfish tank and I put my hand in there to what I call water gardening. And I trim up the plants and I, clean the inside of the glass, and the fish come and they get in my hand and they cuddle in my hand and they want me to pet them. I mean, just like a cat or a dog. So there's a lot of interaction. So, for people, I guess, that need
nature
and to harness that energy, I highly recommend it. It's a very soothing thing.
I agree. I've always used to have a tank, and I got rid of it in the end because I couldn't really do the uptake thing. But,
so easy to take care of.
Oh, they are. If you know what you're doing, you only need to go in there once a week, unless it's salt water.
Well, time constraints and shit. I'm making excuses now. But I miss having a tank.
Yeah.
Telling you. It's really...
I do miss having, that kind of thing. But, okay, so let's look at the other side. How about plants?
Same thing.
Exactly. You can bring those elements, and elementals will come in to your home if you've got those kind of things in your home, yeah?
Yeah. Fire is candles or smudge or incense or cooking.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a fire elemental you're utilizing. Yep. So yeah, air, same thing, fans, air movement, open all your windows on your home and pray that there's a breeze.
Yeah.
Do we have anybody in chat?
Not right now. No, I'm just doing a bit of sharing while we're talking. So, so the thing with this full moon thing, right, how much does astrology then affect us? Because we've had an alignment of planets. We've had, this year has been quite mad on a astrological level. Oh, hello. What is she called?
Water.
Just what card just came up that I pulled?
Water.
The elemental of water.
And funny enough, we were talking about that 2 seconds ago. Is like the water element.
Yeah, there's no coincidences with cards. These cards, I can tell you that. There's just no coincidences. None.
Okay.
So, but anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. So how much does astrological, shall we say, affect us? Because, we've had so much recently.
Astrological?
That's the word.
Yeah.
Astrological.
How much does that? We've had like alignments of planets. We've had solar eclipses. We've had, Mercury retrograde. It seems to be the big thing.
That's all astrology. That's all astrology.
Yeah. So how much do these things actually have an effect, or is it New Age twaddle?
No, it's
No,
not.
I don't think it's twaddle.
No, I don't either.
Look back, like through history, as far back as recorded history can be, okay? And they all had some sort of seer or person that people turned to, healers, what have you. And it was all based on like their own astrological thing, where the stars were. They planned harvest, they planned planting season, they planned when to have babies, they planned when to sacrifice. I mean, it doesn't matter what culture. They planned on when to go to war. Even in the Japanese culture and the Chinese cultures, that's how they planned on going to war in these ancient times. Even in the times of, when Christianity was out slaying everybody because they weren't Christians. Yeah. It was all based on planets and stars. So, is it bunk? No, I don't think so. And if you talk to a really good astrologer, and my favorite go-to is Storm Sestavani, I mean, they can tell you things that I just kind of get that like deer in headlight looks, like, what did you just say? How did you just know that? And I just had a hummingbird come up into my window. So what? Yeah, I just had a hummingbird come up and look in my window just now. So
sorry, I'm just going to recap that. Hummingbird.
Yeah.
Kerry, there's your hummingbird.
Woo! It's funny.
I have no idea why. I was just like looking up.
We know what this is about. Okay. Basically, Kerry asked the universe for a sign about 4 weeks ago that she was on the right track and doing the right things, and could she have a sign? She said, so could I have a hummingbird? But we live in the UK, you don't really get hummingbirds. There's your hummingbird, Kerry.
Yeah, it's really kind of late. It was a black one, by a black body with a red throat with a little bit of white on it and a black head. Yeah, and it's actually kind of late for them right now in the day, and it's actually getting late in the season. They should be starting to leave, because we're getting monarchs and everything leaving. So I was like, why? Why is this hummingbird going up and down my window? So there you go, I guess. Good deal.
Well, do you know what? Bear, you deserve an award. Because you're one of the first people I've known who's ever managed to silence Kerry getting away, and she's going, what?
I'm like, what? Did you just say? When you said hummingbird, I was like, what the heck? What? I tell you what, because I chose. When I was like asking, when I sort of said, I need a sign.
She can't even talk right now.
I can't. I'm absolutely, honestly, I'm blown away.
It's going great there.
I'd gone on about this. I said, right. And I did my thing, and I said, right, okay, universe, give me a hummingbird. I need a hummingbird, right? And now, as everybody knows, I live in the UK. The chances of a hummingbird, it has to be extraordinary for a hummingbird to appear, right? And I'm not expecting a hummingbird to come up to my window, but it needs to come. I know, but it needs to happen somehow. Just randomly, right? Now, I've been talking about this to the UK contingency, as it were, and my kids had obviously heard about it. Now, my son had heard about this.
Bless him.
You gotta love my son. So he went onto my phone. I was like, "What are you doing on my phone? Who are you phoning?" Because it's always a bit of a worry, and stalking somebody or other, you know. And on my phone, you know, this is on my phone. So anyway, when I went and looked at my phone, he'd changed my screensaver to a hummingbird, and I was like, that kind of didn't feel right. It just felt like he'd overheard a conversation and decided to try and make mummy happy, and changed my screensaver. And I was like, it's kind of, is that what it? No, that's not how the universe is going to bring it to me. That's not good enough, right? For me, right? I want a hummingbird. So I'm like, I'm aware of this because I've asked for it. So psychologically you go, okay, I've asked for this hummingbird. Nothing's appeared. We're on a pop-up show. We're talking about the full moon and the influences and astrology and stuff like that. And then Bear says, oh my God, there's a hummingbird at my window. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, and I don't have, you know, there's no flowers, like flowers this year. There's no flowers outside my window. And actually, because I have blinds, but they're open, but I do that so that nothing hits the window, birds won't hit. And I'm like, okay, why is it? And I've been watching it for a little bit. It's just been, like I said, up and down the window. That's why I said, why is it? Okay, so yeah, well, that was extraordinary because it's me, and I bring animals, and you know, you're extraordinary girls and women's, and so they came. So good. I'm glad you got your message.
Thank you. I've been waiting for a while for that one, but I think this is the
She's
point.
In shock.
I am actually in shock about this. Oh my God. You know, like sometimes you're like...
Let's do it in stereo, Kaz.
Okay, you pair of monkeys, is what I'm going to say to that.
Back to the hummingbird.
Okay, so I don't know what to say to that. Really, you know, that's weird.
Well, you got what you asked for. So what is there else to ask? Tell me you're not one of those people who are going to go back in and say, "Well, that's really cool. You brought it there, but can you bring me another one?" It's kind of like going into a haunted location and they bang on the wall when you ask and then say, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." Well, I was going to leave because I said if you banged on the wall, I'd leave. But can you just do it one more time? So let's not just do it one more time. So you got your answer. So now believe in yourself and do it.
No, totally. I mean, I have to say, whenever I have asked for a sign and I've got one, I've always taken it. I won't go, well, I want another one now. Okay, so, you know, let's go for another one. Okay, so what's really difficult? You know what I mean? I mean, hummingbird was quite difficult, so let's go for another really difficult one. Let me think now. What could be a really difficult sign for you to manifest? But I knew it would come in an unexpected way, and that's the point, isn't it, of a sign. It comes... It's not the fact that you go, okay, I want a white feather. Because I walk down my lake and I can get white feathers all over the place. We have white doves, we have ducks, we have all sorts of things. So I go down the lake and I can see white feathers everywhere. It's when the white feather thing or the sign thing comes to you in an, what the freak? Really?
I just shuffled them. I don't know if Kaz is watching.
I just shuffled them.
She just pulled out a hummingbird card for everybody else who cannot see what's going on.
Honest to God, yeah, that was like, just because I said, oh yeah, like you're going to ask for another one. So there you go. There's your other one. That was just weird.
Wow.
I couldn't these cards are so connected. You can't, I tell people, you just can't make this stuff up. That was just the weirdest thing, because I was actually going to say, oh, watch, it'll pull up a bear, because you were saying another sign. And I'm like, no, it wasn't a bear. It was the hummingbird.
What?
There you go. Just in case you're going to ask for another one, you got to.
I never did. I was just saying, I don't. But it's when we go back to the white feather thing. It's when it appears in a way or a sign, it appears in a way that's not expected, right? So when Ryder changed my...
That was not expected.
That was very unexpected. When Ryder changed my screenshot to a hummingbird, yes, that was lovely. And I really took that. And don't get me wrong, I was like, oh my God, bless him. That wasn't the sign for me. I couldn't take that as a sign because I believe he overheard the conversation, wanted to make Mummy happy. So he did that for me.
In fact, actually, that evening, I believe, Kerry, me and you had been talking on Skype, and Ryder walked in and says, have you got your hummingbird yet?
Yes.
And then he went and changed it about an hour or so later, didn't he?
Exactly, yeah. Exactly. So I kind of was like, nah, that's not a sign. You know what I mean? That's not a sign. But that...
She's just...
I can't... That... Both... Oh, what can I say? I can't actually... What the freak? I don't know. What the hell's going on? I don't know.
That's just too weird. To me, the hummingbird in my window was less of a big deal than the card pulling. Because that just like, yeah, okay.
Blew your mind.
Anyway.
I know, it's one of those, isn't it? It's one of those where I go, see, Bear did not know I'd asked for a hummingbird.
No,
I did, but...
Kaz did, but Bear didn't.
That was a good 4 weeks ago. We had that conversation. It was a good 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, it must have been.
And you know what's funny? People often think, like, when I'm doing reads, I've actually had people say this. So, did you, like, look me up? Oh, yeah, I got all the time in the world to do that every day. Like, I don't know what's going to, like, I don't know what we're talking about. Or, like, when I'm doing live streams, I don't know who's going to pop up on the live stream. Like,
No.
who has time to do that? So, yeah, it always blows my mind, but in a good way. It's not a bad thing. It's always a good way.
So, Bear, what does that card mean for Kerry?
Well, the hummingbird actually has a few things. The hummingbird talks about life and death because the hummingbird, as we know, and actually this kind of is fitting for Kerry, the energy is high. Like, they have a huge, high metabolism. They never stop. Go, 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 go. So what they remind us is, and at nighttime, like, they take it right down to where if you found a hummingbird at night, you'd think it was dead because they take their systems down to a super low place of balance so that they can balance out their hyperactivity during the day. Okay. So they bring in the like information for you to understand that you're not balancing. Your energy is not being balanced and you need to bring it to balance. So whether it's day or night, it doesn't matter. You have to bring it back to balance. And you have to remember that rest is just as important as doing. The second thing is they are messengers from the other side. So they bring messages for you. And they're like right in your face with it. So in other words, they're so fast and they're so quick. They'll come right up and they'll stop right in front of you like little helicopters. And they'll just stand there until you pay attention to what they're telling you. And so that is also another thing. They're bringing you message from the other side or beyond, or in response to prayer, or in response to something you're worried about. But whatever it is, they're bringing you a message. Okay. But most of all, it's about slowing down long enough so that you put yourself in balance so that you can appreciate the beauty that's in life. And often, especially nowadays, people get so caught up in the chaos and, the negativity and, run, do this, got to get this done, got to take care of the kids, got to run to the store, got to do this. Oh my God, I got a laundry to do. Oh my God, I got to get to my job. So they forget to take that time to slow down. So that's basically what it brings with it when it comes.
Look at the smile on her face.
I can't believe it. I literally am so shocked twice in a pop-up that how long have we been going? Let's have a look. We're 40 minutes into the show.
Really?
Yeah. I cannot believe on a spur of the moment pop-up show that has happened. I am shocked. Now we all know.
Right. The universe will respond to us in the time that it's supposed to respond to us. There's no coincidences.
I know.
It's always when you're supposed to hear it that you're supposed to, be able to get the most from it. If you're sitting around waiting for it and you're like, okay, I need that message right now. Well, okay. It's not going to happen that way. It's going to become when we least expect it so that we remember it.
Oh, hell, God, I'm going to certainly remember this one. I'll be honest with you. I mean, bear in mind, this was 3-4 weeks ago that I asked for this message, this sign from the universe. And, before, when I've asked for a sign, it's come pretty kind of immediate. Like there was that time where I asked for a sign just at Christmas, wasn't it? If you remember, Kaz.
Mm-hmm.
I asked for a sign and I got on with my day and I was doing housework and I was washing up and I'd asked for a sign. I didn't ask for a specific sign. I just needed a sign. And I was washing up at the sink, as you do. And I looked up, and there was it was a Christmas decoration that somebody had on a house that was the view out of my window, and it was a pentagram, and it was a flashing pentagram. It wasn't a Star of David; it was a definite pentagram, enclosed circle pentagram, and I was like, "Really?" And when you look twice, you go count the. There's 5, definitely 5, not 6. And, okay, that's weird because how many... Yeah, you expect the Star of David at, that time of year. But this was a pentagram. And I was like, well, if that's not a sign, I don't know what is. Because I'd asked for a general, just give me a sign. And there's this big flashing pentagram in my face. And I'm like, right, okay. So I took that and I started laughing because it was that. So I thought, right, this time... I'm going to specify the sign I need, right? Which was the hummingbird. And as people know, in the UK, hummingbirds are not a general marketing tool or they're not something we have up here at our window. It's quite a big ask. Hi, Jeffrey. Thank you for making it into the chat room. It's quite a big ask for a universal sign for the UK because I'm not in that environment. So I kind of was going, right, okay, if you're listening, universe, I'd love a sign. I want a hummingbird, right? That will be my sign that I'm on the right pathway, that I'm doing the right thing, that I'm in the right... Because I've made a lot of changes recently in the last, 6 weeks, Kaz?
Yeah.
Must be 6
huge
weeks
changes.
now. Yeah, huge changes in the last 6 weeks. So there's been a lot that's gone on in my personal life and...
But what you need to know, okay, one of the things that, and I'm getting yelled at, so I knew this was going to happen.
Here we go.
As soon as that freaking card came out, I knew that was going to happen. Okay, one of the things that you need to remember and always have the belief in and never question is the fact that not only are you loved by the ancestors and by the spirit world, but that you have a lot of work to do with them, for them. with them, for them. They're going with them, for them, with them, for them, with them, for them. And you need to remember that so that your belief in self doesn't waver. Because what I'm being told really loud is a lot of times what happens is things show up, and we're responsible for how we react to people, okay? But what winds up happening with you is a lot of people put their crap on you, okay? So the way they look at things that are going on, or their expectations. And the biggest thing in the lesson in all this, that whatever it is that's been going on with you, is the fact that you need to cut that all out, okay? Because it doesn't matter what they think, okay? It doesn't matter what they say or what they want you to do. They're not walking in your shoes. And this is what the spirit world is telling me right now. And it's saying really loud, you're loved, so stop. Stop doubting what you're doing. Stop doubting your path. Stop doubting the people that are at the core, the people that you know are there for you, that you know are family, because your intuitive side will bring that up, and your intuitive side will tell you if it's not. It'll raise a red flag. It'll raise the hair on your neck, or it'll give you that sick pit in your stomach if it's wrong. But you need to learn to trust that 100%. And they're doing this. So it's like a ritual thing. So, and I don't know what you practice, but they're doing this, and they're pushing it aside. So believe it. And push that crap aside, because what you need to know and what you need to do, you already know and you're already doing. And it's really loud. So quit asking for reassurance, reassuring, reassurance, yeah.
Reassurance.
Mm-hmm. Reassurance, okay, because all you have to do is look around you and know.
See, I could just sit here all night listening to Bear doing readings.
I know, same here. I know. It's like awesome, isn't it? Oh my God, I can't, never a true word is all I can say to that.
Well,
agreed.
And people, you have to understand, I mean, when Spirit wants the message to come through, it doesn't matter who you are or where you are, they'll find a way to get that message through. And if you don't pay attention, they will keep pounding you until you finally do, or they'll put it right in your face so that you will, there will be no mistaking. No mistake.
I totally agree with
you
that.
know something? This is actually quite funny. We had I think it was about 3 weeks ago. The girls went away on holiday. My 2 youngest went away on holiday with their eldest sister. So while they're out the way, I went on a mad decorating binge. Mm-hmm. And Kerry phoned me this day, and I said, I'm decorating the hallway and I'm decorating the bathroom and blah, blah. And she went, well, how are you doing all that? And I went, well, I've got the new carpet coming, so I've got to finish the painting. And she went, oh, they're going to lay the carpet. I said, no, I'll lay the carpet. And she went, don't you get somebody to do that? I said, no, I'm my daddy's daughter. I do it myself. He taught me to do all that. So that was fine. And I'd ordered a new bath panel. And the next day the bath panel came, and it's really large. So I stuck it against a wall in the living room. And my daughter Melody went, it's like a big white door sitting there. And I went, yeah, it is. And we were just sitting chatting. I looked at it again, and in big black pen, somebody had wrote on it 66. When I was growing up, the house we grew up in with my mum and dad was number 66, and it was in big letters on the door. And I went, there you go.
See? And the thing is, believe it. It's not a coincidence.
I was absolutely I posted it on a picture of it on Facebook.
Did you?
She did. Yeah, and we was talking about this, weren't we?
Yeah, because Kerry said I need to go and do her house next.
Yeah, and then I said, send your daughter because she needs to clean it too.
Okay, this is weird. I smelled donuts. When you said about the door and the 66 being your parents' number on their house.
Oh,
I have donuts. The smell of donuts just came into my room, and I don't have donuts in my house, and nobody's cooking, and nobody's even home anywhere near where I live right now.
when we were young, my dad used to make his homemade donuts.
Well, it's coming across. There you go. So there's your other sign, donuts. I mean, I'm like, why am I smelling donuts?
Oh,
and
that's the
I'm
best
like
smell
looking
in the
around.
world.
Like,
There you go, my dad's gate crashing a radio show.
yeah, there you go.
Fantastic. Right, well, Jeffrey Webb has joined us in the chat room. He said this is totally off subject at the moment, but that's okay. But what does it mean when a black butterfly comes and lands on your finger and stays there for a couple of minutes?
It doesn't matter if it's black. Doesn't matter what color it is. If it's there, it's bringing you a message. And usually, typically, it's a sign from a very close, like mother, father, wife, spouse, brother, sister. So it's like the close family, grandmother, grandfather. So it's like a real close, and they're bringing a message, and it's a message usually like perhaps you're like feeling like kind of down or troubled about something. They're coming to reassure you that they're watching and it'll be okay. Excuse me, even if we don't think at that moment it's okay, that's usually what it is. And that's when they stay there. It's also about the changes, like life changes. And when I say death changes, death means little death. It could be change of job. It could be change of location of where you live. It could be a change in the family dynamics. I don't know. It's whatever it is. But that's the message. When it stays there and it lands on you, stays there, it's telling you that it's going to be okay, even though you don't think it might be. But it's responding to some question that you've kind of internally put out to the universe, typically.
So it's more to do with the butterfly than it is to do with the colour?
Yes. Not anything to do with the color. It's only about the butterfly.
Fair enough. So how much stock do we pay attention to the world around us? Do most people pay attention to these signs, these esoteric signs that come to us on a basis, or do the majority of people just not see them because they're so caught up with the day-to-day?
I think they're caught up with day-to-day and don't notice them so much.
I think people, I agree with Kaz. I think people are just so, it's like nowadays, you can go anywhere and look at them and they're all got their nose stuck to their phones. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to. When we were kids, we used to go to the woods, we used to go to the lake. We used to go camping. We used to go bike riding, in the neighborhoods and stuff like that. They don't do that anymore. So for them to actually notice something, it has to be like a reason. In other words, they're doubting, they're looking for a sign, they're in grief over whatever, a relationship or a death or, whatever it is. Or, I had somebody inbox me the other day, like, I need a spell for my job interview. I'm like, no, you just need to know how to go through your interview in a professional manner. A spell's not going to do it. You still have to do the work. So people are lazy. I mean, I hate to say it, but they are. So they don't pay attention to those things. They don't pay attention to, the grasshoppers, there's like thousands of grasshoppers this year. Well, why is that? Well, there's changes going on. There's grasshoppers out here this year.
Yeah,
last year. We didn't have a lot of grasshoppers last year. So there's earth changes. So it's all about awareness. People that sort of do what we do are aware, and then you have the people that don't want to be aware because, oh my God, they don't want to know.
True. I mean, I have to, on the grasshopper front, there's been more grasshoppers this year, but it's been a very long and dry season here in the UK. So, so we've got a rainy bit right now, but it's only been the last week or so. So, but I had grasshoppers in my conservatory, but they were coming in and chirping away. I mean, the UK, they're tiny. They're not very big ones. But it was something that hadn't happened for a while. So I always make a point of getting them out because they don't belong in my conservatory, they belong outside. But yeah, grasshoppers have been a big thing this year. So how much have we lost touch with the nature signs to give us hints and, of what the Earth is doing? How much have we've lost a lot of touch with that, I think.
Oh, what do you think, Kaz?
I think, well, I think it depends where you're living. Do you not?
No. I think every country has its signs as to
Doesn't
what...
matter if you're in, doesn't matter if you're in the
yeah.
city or the country. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, because this year we've had, like, as I say, I mean, I live in a town, not a city. I live in a town.
Wait a minute, Carrie. I just said, yeah, Kaz, what do you think? Kaz goes, well, both of us are like, yeah, no. I'm sorry, Kaz.
Yeah, we live in town. You live in a town and I live in a town, Kerry.
Yeah.
So that's different from somebody who lives like where Bear lives. She lives right next to a lake.
Yeah.
She's surrounded by
Nature.
all sorts, nature and all sorts that we're not, in a way that we're not.
But there are still those signs, even though you live in a town.
Yeah.
Do you have
There are
birds?
still those signs. We have those.
Do you guys have birds?
We have insects. We have birds.
Do you have insects?
Yeah.
Do you have rodents?
Ladybirds. I have absolutely tons of ladybirds all over my back garden. Don't know what that's about. Don't know where they came
Ladybugs?
from.
They're
Yeah.
actually good for your garden. So if they're ladybugs, they're good
Oh
for your
yeah,
garden.
there's loads of them, but
Yeah.
one of the kids.
But okay, so you have bugs, you have birds,
Yeah.
you have squirrels.
You need to really go into woods and things to find squirrels where I am.
Okay, do you have rats and mice?
Gorgeous.
Okay, so do
Don't
you have
them.
sunlight and dark nighttime?
Yeah.
You have rain?
Yeah, we had a lot of it today.
Do you have fog? Do you have fog?
Wintertime, yes.
Do you have smog?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Do you have grass on some places that need to be mowed?
Yeah, I have quite a lot of grass, actually.
Okay. So what is that if that's not nature?
Yeah, we have nature, we just don't have as much of it as...
It's
But the
still
signs
nature.
You know
are
what I
still
mean?
there. But the signs are still there in nature. You know.
Do you
it's
have
how-
wind?
Sorry?
Do you have like wind with the rain and the storms? Do you have lightning?
Rarely. We rarely get thunderstorms. That's why today I was so excited. There was a big clap of thunder and that was it. I put thunderstorm up and then nothing happened. There was one big clap of thunder and that was it.
But where you are and Kerry is, it may be different than from where I am, but
Yeah.
there's still nature around you.
Yeah, there is still nature.
So you just see it and pay attention. It's just that in your mind, okay, what you've put it in a box as is I live in nature and you don't have nature where you are.
No, that's not necessarily true because I have said, and I'm actually well known for it, I do post up quite a bit. I'm having a gardening day. And Kerry knows what I'm like. I like to go into my garden. I like to grow stuff. That's meditation to me.
But that's nature.
I could spend the whole day quite happily in the garden just...
But that's
painting
nature.
stuff. I know it is.
Okay, just saying.
Yeah.
So
you have nature.
Yes, I do.
But it's paying attention to the signs of nature, which our ancient ancestors used to do a lot more, because they were more in tune with it, like the lunar cycles, like the solar cycles. I mean, we discount a lot of that these days, but the old sayings, like red sky at night, shepherd's delight, red sky in the morning, shepherd's warning, there are so many of those nature sayings that we kind of ignore these days. But if I'm awake at dawn, I pay attention to that. I can smell the change in the air when there's a storm coming. When there's a storm coming, or there's rain coming. You know that as well as I do, Kaz.
Yeah. I've got to admit, one of my favourite times of the day, because I get up so early, is I'll get up and I'll make a cup of tea and I'll go and sit in the back garden with my cup of tea in the morning.
So many people do
By
that.
the way, Jeffrey Webb has said in the chat room, and you are nature, people are nature.
Yep.
Yep. That's true, Jeffrey.
But people forget that.
We're part of the elementals, too.
Yeah.
I found a dead bird in my garden the other day, right?
I found one today. I blame the cats.
Well, there was fox evidence, shall we say? Yeah. So I would say it's either cat or fox. The fact that fox evidence was there was not necessarily the fact that... But it was a young bird. Now, I have a shaman friend and who works very much with these kind of things. Phones her up. I said, like, okay, I found a dead pigeon in my garden. Are you interested? She's like, yeah. Because what she'll do is she'll take that and she'll skin and do what the hell she does with her bird and roadkill and all sorts of stuff like that. And then what she does is she then returns the bit she doesn't and we'll bury it where we found it. We'll return it to where it was found. But it lives on. It always lives on.
Okay, well, I have a question for you.
Okay.
And it's interesting that you're telling me that she buries it. Okay, and this is my question.
Mm.
And this is my question to everybody that does this. Do birds go in the ground?
Well, no, but we haven't got that ability to burn like that. I haven't got... Well, no, I have, actually. That's a lie. I have that ability.
Do you have a trash... I was going to say, if you've got a metal trash can, you can...
I was just about to say
stuff
that.
in it and just poof.
Yeah, to be fair, I just thought that because I've just been gifted a fire pit. So, gifted a fire pit. So, yeah. So, I have
but
that ability now.
That's something, and I actually had this question, somebody, it was one of my live streams a couple weeks ago, I think. Somebody said, oh, we found a hawk and blah, 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 and, I buried it and blah, 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 and I'm like, wow, you buried it? And they're like, yep, and I took the feathers and blah, blah, blah. I said, first of all, you live in the United States. Don't say you took them. I don't know what your laws are over there, but it's a huge fine if you're caught with those kind of feathers because they're bird of prey. Mm-hmm. Second of all, if you're honoring them, you have no business unless an elder who's card-carrying Native American here in the U.S. and in Canada, it's the same thing, would gift it to you. Mm-hmm. And third, again, why would you bury a bird? You release the bird, you release its soul back to the air. If it's a fish or a water being like a turtle, that's from the water, an aquatic turtle, you would release it back to the water, okay? Mm-hmm. Honor it, say prayers, throw some tobacco, and put it back to the water. If it's a land animal, then of course you bury it because it's on the ground, Yeah,
that's true, but sometimes you haven't got those means. So if you haven't got those means, then the Mother Earth will embrace and release in its own way. And that's my view. If you haven't got those means...
that's fine. That's fine.
Then always put back to Earth.
Yeah, I just...
But I agree with you. I, funny enough, thinking about it, I've literally just been gifted a fire pit. So when she brings it back, because where it was found, she will bring it back to me when she's done her bits out of it. You know what I mean? I don't work in that way. So for me, she will do her thing and then bring it back. And
you just make it a really intense heat. You put a layer down, then you wrap it in white cloth.
Oh, yeah.
Or red cloth with white binding. You put some tobacco, some sage on it, and then you put more twigs and stuff on top of it, and you light it until it's super hot, and you release it.
And then you release it. But you can release without necessarily the right elemental for that natural animal.
Oh, she's held up. There she goes.
You can still do that without having the natural element that it came from, without necessarily doing that. So depending on the circumstance you're in, you know, you can still allow that process to happen because it's intent, surely.
I will agree with you and respect what you're saying, but I've never had an issue with releasing them the other way. So since I've been a kid, so that's the way I was taught. That's all.
No, that's a good point. That is a very fair point that you're bringing up. You know,
Jeffrey is saying in the chat room, he said, my ancestors are Cherokee. I think they put the bodies in a tree and left it for nature to do as it will.
Yep, that's another way of doing it. Correct.
This is one thing that I've always been quite critical, I would say, of, is that in the US, the Native American, everywhere's a Native American burial ground. Now, as I believe, various tribes had different ways of burial, whether that be build a pyre or build a sky platform or burial, or, you know, there was different methods of burial.
Till the white people, till the Europeans came through, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So why would there be curses on Native American burial grounds?
Curses are there for the Europeans that came through, that trashed everything, not for the native people that were buried there.
Yeah.
It's for looters. It's for other tribes that would come through and steal, you know, from the tombs. Just like what, you know, it's interesting, you know, that you brought that up. I read an article the other day. They found another mummy, I guess, over in Egypt somewhere, and they were opening the sarcophagus. And I'm actually kind of outraged by that, even like King Tut and all of them. I really am kind of outraged by that because
they should have been left alone.
Yeah, you know, it's desecrating the dead. I don't care if they've been dead for 2,000, 3,000. It doesn't matter to me. Those are their tombs. Those are, that's a personal thing, but I just find it very distasteful. So when people go in and loot even cemeteries, you know, old cemeteries that they uncover or something, you know, it's okay. And then cover them back up and leave them be. You know, they've been there. There was another place, I forget where it was. They were building over somewhere in the Middle East somewhere. They were building a road and they came across all these bodies that were lined up, and they actually thought it was like pre-Alexander the Great days where they were lined up in like a mass grave, you know, from a war. It's like, okay, cover them back up and leave them be.
But Egyptologists, for example, would say that if they didn't examine those remains, I mean, like, for example, King Tut. Now, they've came across his tomb. Obviously, they have taken his sarcophagus out and they have analysed his body. But, I mean, if they didn't do that, we would never have known that King Tut had 2 daughters.
Okay. What is the super importance of knowing that?
The thing is, though, when they checked it all, they would say that they're trying to understand the genetics and how things ran, and what it was is King Tut had some problem with his foot, but there seems to be a genetic
marker.
Yeah, it seems to be a family thing.
Yeah, they were inbreeding.
Yeah, they were inbreeding. And this is why these 2 little babies were born too early and they were born deceased. We wouldn't know all that, but yes, I do think they should have been left alone, but I can understand the importance of why they do that research too. I can understand the
curiosity, but I don't see the importance of it to modern.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I do.
It's like, oh, where is so and so buried, or where is it's like, would you want to be dug up and down the road? I mean, I just find it very distasteful.
But if it's just the belief system of a spirit is inhabiting a meat and
we're just vessels.
We're just vessels. It doesn't matter, does it? How
then
that
let
was
the
celebrated.
vessels, yeah.
But why does it matter? Your spirit is still
go.
free. Your spirit is still free from that vessel. It doesn't matter how. I'm playing devil's advocate, everybody. I would just like to add.
That's okay.
I would just like to add, because if I was buried, I wouldn't really want someone digging me up. But just saying. Hashtag just saying.
Well, unless you were a certain person that said it would be for scientific research.
Nah, no one's touching my body once I'm gone.
Well, you could be. What was it? Was it you, Kaz, that put up about the pods?
I'd love to do it. I want
I'd
that.
do that in a heartbeat. Then nobody would mess with us.
So would I, but my kids will totally freak out. But they're just
I get that bit. No, I get that bit. But I just think in 100 years' time, or 200 years, or 400 years, or 1,000 years' time, if the Earth is still going, obviously, you can imagine like this forest, and then people start digging up these trees for whatever reason,
and find skeletons.
Cutting them
at the
down
base of all these trees, and they'll be like, "Wow, there's skeletons at the bottoms of all these trees." I get that, but at the end of the day, playing devil's advocate, these characters are so intrinsic to pushing us forward in understanding of ancient beliefs. And if we believe that a spirit leaves our vessel when we die, then it doesn't matter what happens to the vessel, because that's unimportant. Isn't it?
It's important to those left behind.
But if your ancestry has died out...
Well, if you look at it, I can get where Bear's coming from, because the Egyptians and their beliefs, right, going with them, the tombs were not to be disturbed. And that's exactly what we've done. They had a big belief that the tombs weren't to be disturbed, and if you did disturb them, you were disturbing the spirit. So I get where Bear is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look at people who, big business that comes in and they say, and it's happened here in Michigan a couple times, we have to move these cemeteries. Dig them up! Yeah. And people are like, what the hell do you mean, dig them up? Are you kidding me? Why would you desecrate their graves? This is a part of a ritual. This is part of, and I know their souls have left, but this is unrespectful. I don't want you raiding my tomb. I'm not going to be buried in one, but I wouldn't want you raiding my tomb or looting it. And that's what these people are doing. Okay? King Tut, he's been all over the place. He's even been here in Michigan.
He's been British Museum.
Everybody's going to look at him. And look at all his loot. That's disrespectful.
I do have to admit, if you go to Stonehenge, have you been to Stonehenge, Kerry?
Yeah.
You go into the museum.
Yeah.
They have the Axeman.
Yeah.
And I was absolutely horrified, because we've walked into the museum, I'm walking around, I'm oohing and ahhing at all different things, and we come to this big display cabinet with the remains of this man in the cabinet, and I'm standing in front of it going, that's so disrespectful, he shouldn't be there, why didn't they put him back? And the people who worked there were quite, didn't really know what to say to me, but they were kind of looking at me like, shh, keep your voice down.
It's like a carnival sideshow. It's like a freak show.
Yes,
and I just
don't
thought,
disagree with that.
Put him back. I thought, put him back.
But I can understand why archaeologists find the whole burial rites situation fascinating. Because, locally...
Do it. Go ahead and look at it, Kerry. Look at the grave that you found. Look what's in it. Take pictures and, for scientific research purposes, look at the pottery, look at all that stuff. Study it. And then shut it back up.
Yeah.
But they won't. Because once they know it's there, they'll know that a grave robber will come along and steal the treasures out of it. Money. Exactly. It's all to do with money.
Too much.
They can't. Yeah, exactly. So, like, locally, they found the oldest Saxon king grave. And that's in Southend. That's not far from where I live, right? So they excavated it. They found out whilst they were doing a road system, right? So they then, because of the law, they have to call the archaeologists in and excavate it properly. And they did, right? And they withdrew everything from the mound that they found and documented it and, you know, found out what they could about, and it's amazing. The find was absolutely awesome. However, right, the problem is they can't put that, once they've found it and they've uncovered those treasures, they can't put it back. They can't then, because of society today and that need for the road system and all the rest of it, and the knowledge now is out there, they can't then put it back and cover it back up and respect that grave, that burial rights. They can't because it's out there. That then they can't guard it. They can't invest that money.
They can bury it somewhere else.
People are too interested in it, and that
Again,
leads to,
it's about the money.
Of course, it is. It then leads into a whole new thing. In the same way as, you know, okay, so that's a tiny thing, really, the Saxon burial, to the Egyptian pyramids. They're massive monuments. Massive. They were going to get excavated at some point. Yeah? Yeah. Jeffrey says, okay, we have modern day idols now, like Elvis, like, you know. Look at that. You know, if people could get that, all right, let's go back to the original idol. Let's look at Jesus' death. You know, how many pieces of the cross are supposed to be out there, or pieces of the crown are supposed to be out there, or, you know, pieces of the saints that are supposed to be out there. You know what I mean?
The Turin shroud thing.
Yeah, it's all money making. It's not respectful to the essence of what it was supposed to be. And that's the problem. Now, when I die, I'm not going to be anywhere near that level, clearly. But that's fine. I accept that. It's fine. You never know. Who knows what the future will bring. But, you know, if I was under a tree and in, you know, 300 or 400 years' time my tree got dug up and they found my skeleton, would I care as a spirit?
No, you're not going to care as a spirit, but as a society, I would hope that people would respect that what you did was give back to the earth and leave it be.
I see where Bear's coming from.
I do too. I certainly do too. However,
she's just peeing Poke the Bear. That's all she's doing.
I'm not.
That's all she's doing.
No. Not after you've given me my son from the universe. I would not poke the bear.
Let's see how much I can do to make Bear lose. Let's see if I can make Bear lose her shit. It ain't gonna happen.
No, I'm not trying to poke Bear.
I respect them. I love archaeology. I love things that they find, but you know, when it comes to the people, I mean, they're buried that way for a reason. It's the same way with the emperors in China. And, you know, like when they found those soldiers, you know, the clay soldiers and, you know, the Great Wall and Japan, the emperors in Japan. I don't care what culture it is. I just find it very distasteful. Not because I'm scared of death, not because, you know, I just find it disrespectful.
Well, I mean, if you look at talking about modern day, I mean, look at the royal family when they get buried, and they all get buried. Every single one of them are in extra heavy coffins for that very reason, so they cannot be dug up. It's to stop people doing that. I believe Princess Diana's coffin, how heavy was that again?
really, really bad. Yeah.
It was something like 50 stone. It's lead lines. So it was like 50 stone. Those poor guys carrying the coffin on the day of her funeral, you literally look at them, their legs were shaking because, and it wasn't through nerves, it was through the very weight of that. But they do that so that they can't be dug up again. Do you know what I mean? So
how did we get on this morbid topic?
I know. I have no idea. We've gone from full moon down to that.
Burials.
To grave robbers.
This seems to be a thing at the moment. I have to say, we keep coming back to this. But isn't she not buried? Isn't she in a tomb?
No, she's buried on an island.
Yeah, she's buried on her family's island.
She's buried on her family's islands, and there is nothing marking it at all.
Nope, they can't get into it either. They can't get to it either because it's the family owned and it's private. The whole island where the house and everything is.
Yeah, nobody can get into it.
Yeah. The boys know where it is.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
Jeffrey
so
has the Holy Grail, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, so for that morbid topic, this is really light.
I know, for 1:45 on a Friday night, Saturday morning, we've kind of gone quite dark. Jeffrey has said he owns a chalice, and it has Yeshua written on it with a Sharpie pen, so it's got to be the Holy Grail. Well, I have my own special cup, is all I'm saying, and it has Kerry written on it. So when I die, I want these things put in so everyone thinks, wow, this girl was something awesome. She has her own cup with her name written on it. So, okay, let's light on the topic. If you was to have your own burial monuments, should we say, our own special things put in your grave, okay, to outline the person you were and help you move over into the afterlife. Oh, he wants my cup. You can have my cup. It's £5. It's fine. What would you have placed in your coffin with you?
Oh,
There's a question, ladies.
I would have my pentacle and my EVP recorder.
Could you imagine what the archaeologists
okay,
would say
the
about that
donuts
in
just
future?
came through again, and I heard somebody laughing. So
that'll be my dad. Yeah.
Oh my god, I was like, that's really wild. Tell your dad you'll pick up some donuts tomorrow or something.
Bear. His name's John. Just say, John, don't come in unless you're bringing me donuts.
I don't want donuts, thanks. Take them to your daughter.
John would
Yeah,
have
bring me
donuts. Or a donut maker in his coffin with him, bless him. What would you have in your coffin that the archaeologists in future life would say,
I won't have a coffin. I'm going to get cremated, so I don't really care. I mean, but if you're saying hypothetically, I think I wouldn't put it in with me. I'd put it on the top of a coffin. I'd put a great big bong with a big pound of weed and tell everybody,
Hashtag stoner.
No, I don't do that anymore, but yeah, that would be what I do for everybody else. Don't cry over me, Argentina. Go have a party.
Yeah, let's party down. Anyway, guys, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this show. Don't forget, not tomorrow. Sunday evening, 9 p.m, the Spirit Dimension.
You got into that bag I think I left out.
I know. I'm like well off my face now. I'm like channeling the weed. Sunday evening, 9 p.m, I have Lisa Michaels and Claire Hinks into the studio or we're talking about self-responsibility in regards to how you work spiritually. So that's going to be a big one because it's important to take self-responsibility. And when it's not okay to take self-responsibility for things. So when should you stop beating yourself up about stuff? And then on Monday, I come live on the Parasearch Radio group page to give you a rundown of all the week's shows ahead of us. If you miss any of our shows, don't forget we are on YouTube. Click, like, share and subscribe. And on that note, I say thank you so much, Caz and Bear, for me dragging you out of your beds to come live on a pop-up show on Parasearch Radio. So thank you, ladies.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Interesting discussion as always. Say good night.
That's always fun.
Yep.
Good
now
night.
remember, hummingbirds, don't go out and ask for more.
Oh, I won't. Don't you worry. That's blown me away. I have to say, I cannot believe that happened tonight. On that note, take care and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we'll see you very, very soon. Take care. Good night.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.